Hello, everyone. Good morning. Thank you so much for being here this morning. I am Samanta Alves. I am going to be the host and I'm going to give the speech this morning. I just wanted to make sure everything is working fine before I start. So if you guys could just give me a sign, just to let me know that it's working, everything is fine. Good morning, Kaka. Oh, good. Okay. So thanks, Kaka, for letting me know. Thank you so much, everyone. Um, so as I said, my name is Samanta Alves. I am a volunteer in the Spiritist Center, as I always say. But for those who don't know me, I'm Brazilian. I'm currently living in Ireland, um, where our Spiritist Center is. So we are now doing those talks, and we have some activities during the week as well. We're doing everything online. So that's why we are having this, what would be our public meeting, through Facebook and through YouTube. Today we are going to talk about our daily challenges in life. And this whole speech is based on two books by Emmanuel, psychographed by Francisco Cândido Xavier. One is Our Daily Bread, and the other one is Encontro Marcado. For this book, there's no translation in English, but the title would be something like Arranged Meeting, something like this. Therefore, I just wanted to say that I'm trying to be truthful to the words in the books as much as possible. So I just wanted to acknowledge the work of Xavier's here, before I start. So everything that I'm going to talk today is from the books, okay? And I want to say that because I want to say that with humility. There's a lot of things that there are a lot of things that I am struggling myself with. So doing this work was actually great because I got in contact with these books, and I see myself doing a lot of things that are in the books. So it's basically just learning for every one of us. And the fact that I'm here just saying those words doesn't mean that I don't have to work on those things as well. So I just wanted to say that up front. And first things first, do our initial prayer before we start. So if you could just close your eyes, take a deep breath. Dear Jesus, dear God, dear spiritual friends, our mentors, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here this morning doing this work. Thank you so much for letting us get in contact with your work, your words, your wisdom. Help us understand everything that you want us to learn. Help us use good judgment doing our actions in our lives. When we face a challenge, help us remember your teachings and act appropriately. Once again, thank you so much for this beautiful morning, for the opportunity to be alive, for everything that we are going through, because you teach us that there's a reason for everything. So we want to take advantage of everything that is happening as much as we can, for our own good, for our improvement, for our own benefit. So be it. Okay, So let me share my screen with you guys. Cool. So, as I said, we are going to talk about our challenges in life. Sorry, guys. Let me just make sure I can share my screen. Yes. Okay. It seems like it's okay. So, as I said, this speech today is our challenges in life, and this is for those or for those of us who aspire to reach the path of liberation and peace. To those of us that have experienced the visit of difficulty and trial and ask for the cause of anguish and suffering. So my words today don't have the pretension of revealing a straight path from the earth to the sky, but rather wish to somehow allow a dialogue within us about life and the problems of building the kingdom of Lord within ourselves. So each simple word is nothing but only an understanding from soul to soul, or um, it's basically a contact with the Spiritist doctrine, which is the universal religion of love and wisdom, and in which we find the arranged encounter with the lessons of Christ and God. So the two books that I'm using today, they have they have chapters, and each chapter has its own let's say subject. So it's divided, and what I try to do is I try to get some of the chapters and talk about them a little bit. There are a lot of chapters in the book, small chapters. It's like mini texts about a specific subject or side of things. So I basically just picked up a few of them so we can talk about today. And to start with, we are going to talk about analyzing line with good to understand and help. Okay. So when you analyze any less happy occurrence, try to see the good that remains alive and active behind the apparent evil that is apparently dominating the situation. And it applies to when those bad things happen to you or to someone else. So many of those who were brought to the challenges with the aim of helping loved ones simply complicate them by the habit of sticking themselves in the darkness, forgetting their obligation to fraternally clear the way. So you have to analyze things, not only, as I said, not only for you, but when you're helping somebody, you need to make sure you're really helping, right? So you're listening and you're giving the best that you can to that person. Um, so it's like as if that person was or yourself. Let's say if you're trying to help somebody, it is if you were a fireman that throws oil instead of water at the fire under the excuse of extinguishing the flames. So basically, you think you're trying to help, but what you're doing is you're putting more fire. You're just creating more fire. So you or all of us need to let the pure air of positive faith bring some fresh air to our heads, and try to listen with optimism and be caring. with this person. Because if a friend trusts you with disappointments and regrets, remember that the patient seeks the doctor to reduce the illness or suppress it, and not to worsen the anguish, uttering negative phrases. So pessimism and sorrow transform little troubles of life into great disasters of the heart. You you create like something even worse. Um, I'm gonna give an example here. Let's say, for example, a friend of you come to you and talk to you about something, and the first thing you say to this person is, "I told you so." Right? So we have all done that. I imagine I myself did, and I heard it as well. So this really doesn't help, you know. So even if you had um, said to the person that it was going to go wrong, when you say it, when you say I told you so, you're not helping the person, you're not helping solve the problem, right? So maybe you guys can in another conversation and be open to each other and say, listen, I would love if you could listen more things that I say to you, because when I said that, I thought of this, and but then it's in another moment. It's not when things are, um, when everything is happening or when this person is down, and you need to act and help. So, um, the mechanism of human relations basically resembles the machine that the industry drives for the benefit of humanity. And it's like a meal. So for a meal to operate properly lubricated, no one will think of throwing a handful of sand at the gears with the idea of eliminating the problem of friction. So undoubtedly, we all need the oil of understanding and compassion on the wheels of our understanding with one another. So try to be kind with one another, and also it applies to yourself as well. So when something is happening to you, try and analyze it. Maybe trying to see things from a different perspective or from a distance, and try to apply the same logic. Be kind to yourself. Be your best friend. So basically, these are the teachings from the book in that respect. Um, Moving on, before the crisis of the world. And in this chapter, truly the world is in constant renewal, as it is in our own times. So basically, we can feel that something is happening at the moment, and we can feel this renewal happening. So things are changing, right? And in the hours of essential transformation, it is understandable that the earth looks like a house under renovation, temporarily tormented by the transposition of roles and the readjustment of traditional values. So what we need to do during these times is to trust in God and trust in what He wants to happen, because nothing happens in the earth without the permission of God, right? And there are a lot of, or maybe there are some things that we can do to help. We often forget that the world is the world and us are us. So between the passenger and the convoy that is carried by him, there are singular and unmistakable differences. If the vehicle is threatens disaster, it is possible that the traveler inside becomes a point of calm, radiating, rebalancing. So praying is something that helps a lot. Being confident as well, trying to be more optimistic about things, or even trying to analyze and think about everything that is happening with a good heart. So basically, what this chapter is saying is we can take the reins of the inner command. So it's up to us to take over. But against the plunge into chaos, as well as assisting those who are with us on the journey of evolution and evaluation, is the how can I explain that? We can use all those tools against this movement, right? So we can never forget that we could be like, it's like a boat, right? So we all in the boat, and we are doing our job in getting the boat where it needs to get. And if the sea is troubling, and the journey is difficult, we can never forget that God is at the helm, and God is, taking care of everything. Moving on, in terms of inevitable renovations of life, that is kind of continuing what we were talking about. So everywhere and at any time, we see the vitality of the universe expressing itself incessantly. So trees throw out the unnecessary leaves and pour new good ones. Seeds, remembering that fragments of nature are trusted to the land that fertilizes them, transferring them over time in giants of the vegetables of the world. So it's just nature, right? And in your own body, the principle of constant action manifests itself. While you are independent in the sphere of your own thoughts, millions of cells work in your behalf. So you think it's a simple process, but there's so much going on for you to be able to simply think, right? So you feed yourself and you do not worry about the nutrition phenomena. So you just put food in your mouth and everything happens, So you don't need to, basically, all you need to do is just to put food there and kind of chew and swallow, and that is it. Everything else will be taken care of. So your body is just this amazing thing. So you also, like, you sleep, and multiple psychological operations take place in you without you having even to acknowledge it. So whether we want to acknowledge the truth or not, we are immersed in the ocean of divine energy as much as the fish in water. But we, the human creatures, are conscious souls, raised to the regime of personal responsibility before the privileges of reason. And although we exist and move in God, according to the happy assertion of the Apostle Paul, we are free to think, imagine, create, and establish, generating causes and consequences in the sphere of our own destinies, right? So it gives us the need to fit into the plans of the Supreme Father as to the edification of happiness of all, accepting and blessing the renovations that become indispensable to us, to believe in the power of good and to cooperate with it in the support of the overall harmony is imperative of the divine law. So let us compare our task to, again, the ship thrown into the sea. So the storm arise, forcing us to change course. But if each one of us remains faithful to the place of work to which we were trusted with sincere application to our own duty, no danger will impel us to disaster. Because if men collaborate, God works. And if we, mankind, are the workers in this enormous ship of the world, it is necessary to never forget that God is at the helm, right? Moving on, the way. So, the way here is in the sense of what path you need to follow, right? So you'll be surprised in the daily path to see the clash of passions causing fierce rancor, and you observe around those who revolt against the saving cross that they carry, and those that transform the disturbance of others into a trampoline for climbing to power. So we have all of these confusions in life. We give a lot of importance to small things, for example. So when I say small things, I'm not diminishing them in terms of the importance that they can have or the benefits that they can bring. So, for example, if you want to buy a car, it's important to have a car, and depending on your situation, you need it for work or even for too many other reasons. But sometimes we give it too much importance, and we just fixate our head in that thing, and it actually end up, how can I explain that? It makes you not see other opportunities or other ways of achieving the same goal because you fixed on that specific thing that you thought would solve your problems, and you want to have that. So if anything comes your way of getting this thing, you can be bitter, you can be I don't know, maybe nervous about it. You can be mad, or, you can mistreat people because of that. When I say you, I say me, I say all of us. So we can react to the things that happen to us in these forms that are not good for us. And it's not just because we are feeling those bad things. And in terms of energy, it's a big thing. But it's because as well, when you so focused, when you so fixed in something, you miss so many other opportunities. So we need to make sure that we're giving attention to the things that need our utmost attention. And for all the other things, we have a goal, we have a plan, we have all of that, but we don't let those things become us, or we don't let those things drive us, right? So you should be the lamp lit for those who are blinded by the blindness of denial, the support of those who stumble on the road, dazed by suffering, the good word that restores the minds of those who are traumatized by the assault of darkness, and the hope of these people. So if anybody is going through this situation, you could help offering offering some type of light, some way. I'm not saying some advice, because sometimes advice is not the best way, but you can shed some light. And also, when you have like some type of fight with somebody or disagreement or something like this, You can also watch your way of reaction to what's going on, and try to remember that a blow upon another blow only aggravates the wound, only aggravates the situation. Um, so help and love always, in the conviction that in all the environments of the earth, the presence of charity is and will be constantly the highest climate of existence to meet our need with the supply of God. And when I say charity, I mean kindness. I mean, it's not about, or not all about, giving things to other people. It's also about um, sharing your presence, listening, giving a smile to somebody, and being kind in general. So next, we are going to talk about charity and reason. And again, when I say charity here, I'm referring to um, kindness. So unquestionably, we are still a long way from rational education. So when I say rational education, I mean knowing everything. So knowing, not everything, I don't know if we are going to know everything, um, not even in the distant future, but today we don't know um, all things in the world. So we need to apply reason to things, but how can you apply reason to things if you don't know everything? So I think that the main message here is we need to try and be informed about things. The only way we can achieve reason in that sense is to try our best to be informed, to try our best to learn. And when we have kindness here as well in this chapter, is basically because a lot of things we learn from being kind to other people. And when we're being kind, we can also be kind when we see someone facing some problems, and we just feel this empathy, you know, we feel as if it was happening to us, right? So you're being kind just by feeling that, just by putting yourself in the shoes of the other person. And with this, we'd not want to present cold ears to our brothers. Sometimes there's much more charity or kindness in attention than advice, as I said. Fraternally listen to what you are told and observe what you see without scandalizing the person or injuring them, because that would only aggravate difficulties and problems, as I said before. So instead, let us learn to filter what reaches us, taking advantage of the elements that make ourselves useful to others, and forgetting everything, but really everything that does not help us to build good. And conversation, in essence, is an exchange of souls. Through words, we give and receive. By understanding each other, we provide and acquire certain resources of the spirit, which will influence our conduct. And our conduct forms the chains of plans, things, encounters, and realizations that will determine our destiny. So today's choice in free will result in our tomorrow. Let us cultivate harmony in front of everything and everyone. However, it is necessary that this attitude of understanding do not exclude from our personality the the radiant optimism. So when we read the news, there's a lot of bad things there. So let's try and not let those things affect our optimism. Let's try and continue to have this good vision of life and everything. And that's why Spiritism is so important. It's our baseline. We can't, like, reading the news or being informed, knowing what's going on, learning about the world. There's so much bad things that happened in the past. And of course, we overcome a lot of things. But it's important to know all those things because we need to know where we came from. I see a lot of people saying things are bad now and what's going on, the world is ending, all of that. But it was much worse in the past. If you see, prehistoric times, when we didn't have a roof over our heads, we had to move for food. We had to, I don't know, do so many things. We slept in the cold. So one thing that fascinates me is when I go to this medieval castles that a lot of them are just ruins these days, but it's beautiful. It's so beautiful, and we learn so much about the history and what happened at that time. And Ireland is full of this sceneries, and it's just so amazing to have the opportunity to visit these places. But one thing that struck me is how could these people sleep? Because it was so cold, and they didn't have any technology. They didn't have anything like that. So that that in itself, right? I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and he was saying, so we were talking about things that happened in the beginning of the century, and how bad things were at that time, and being poor was really bad. And he was like, when you had like the kings doing all of those like mad things, they were just the rulers, and they could invent the law, and the laws was just, I don't know, crazy. If you compare it to today, that would be crazy. And he said to me, well, being poor at that time is not much different of being poor now. And I was like, yeah, but I would rather be poor now than be poor at that time. And even though I know I could have been one of those people there in the past, but you know, small things like that. Even if you're not in a very good position today, you're in a much better position today than you were in the past, right? So acknowledging those things, um, in I think it's really important. Um, so coming back to reading the news and learning all those things that is happening, all the challenges that we're facing nowadays, and all of those things, try to always have this optimism inside you and this trust in God. So this is basically a constructive sincerity inside of you. You know, it's something that you need to work on, and you can build this comfort, um, and also build a joy in living. So in short, in front of everyone and everything, let kindness illuminate the reason, so that we will not lose the best values of time and life because of lack of balance or lack of love. Now, moving on. Personal experiences. Sorry, guys, I have to go back to the presentation. I only have one screen today, so I have to go back to the presentation, go back to our main site all the time. So personal experiences. Here we want to talk about support of enlightenment against influence of evil, preserving us against crime. So basically, this is our duty. In referring, however, let's say to the family sphere, there's always the moment when we are constrained to see some of our loved ones on the verge of personal experiences that we consider difficult or painful. At such times, we suppose that we perceive the full extent of the dangers to which they are exposed, and we tend to fear for them. At times, they are on the verge of severe risks that we know better. In our own other circumstances, they drive themselves to embarrassing situations in which shadowy currents we admit to in the past had navigated. So basically, for example, you see someone in your family that is taking drugs, and let's say you did it in the past, and now you're clean, and you know that this is bad. So you had this experience, and that experience taught you, and you see this person going through the same thing. You don't want them to do it. You don't want them to go through the same thing, right? Um, or it could be anything else. It could be that this person is in a I don't know, in a marriage that you don't really approve of, or even like simple things. For example, this person should be studying, and you think that this person is not studying as much as they should. So in all of these cases, it is important to understand that you can try and help, you can hear, you can support, um, and there are a lot of ways of trying to help, depending on the case, of course. But at the end, you need to understand that everyone needs to go through the experience themselves. We can't prevent people from going through their own experiences, good or bad, because those experiences will form them. And again, as I said, nothing happened in the earth without the approval of God. And if something happened to us in the past and we now know better, it's because of this thing that happened. And we had somehow to have this experience. It could even be because we weren't attentive enough, we didn't care enough, we didn't took care of ourselves, we didn't take care of ourselves enough. It could be because a lot of times we say that those things happen to us because of karma, or because I don't know, I think I chose to go through this now, um, before, when I was doing my plan, and before I came to Earth. But a lot of times those things are just happening because we are not doing what we should. It's not because it was determined to happen to us, but it's because we let those things happen, right? So even that, if you didn't have the strong or the strength to block it from happening, or to take care of yourself better, there's a lesson there for you. There's certainly a lesson there for you. And that's the point that we need to understand. So I know we have love in our hearts for the people that we care the most about, and we don't want them to suffer. Of course, we don't want us to suffer as well, but a lot of times we think we know better for that person. And so what we need to understand is that we need to worry more about ourselves. Um, I know it's kind of tricky. I swear to you, it's in the book. And I know it's difficult because when you see someone falling, you want to pull. Um, but what I think Emmanuel is trying to say to us here is that trust in God. And Don't trust too much in yourself, in the sense that you may think that you know what this person should do, but you may be wrong. So say, for example, if someone is in a relationship that you don't approve of, maybe there's much more in that relationship that you don't know about, right? So you think you know, but sometimes we don't. And we need to have this humble approach to things and let each one of us, because we don't want anybody that taking our freedom from us. So we shouldn't do that to anybody either, right? So basically, that is the message here. So let us therefore be careful enough not to harm the personal independence of those who we love, in whom we see sons of God, as well as ourselves, right? So with needs similar to ours, let's preserve the right for them to build their own lives as much as we want to build our own lives, according to the prices of the experiences that they propose to pay, in the same criteria in which we have redeemed the cost of ours. And whenever we see them in supposed danger, let us know that the best form of help we can give to them will invariably be the shelter of prayer and the blessing of the good word with which they are encouraged to work and serve, fight and win with the support of God. So always, always, always recur to God. Um, Moving on, deep water. So in terms of deep water, when your moment of difficulty arise, be convinced that it is to come to yourself the days of service in deep water. So deep waters in that sense would mean sometimes you have to go deeper in yourself. Sometimes you have to go deeper in understanding what's going on with you, um, or in figuring out your life. And we all have that. We all have this moment. And it's like Jesus when he went to the desert. So he wanted to reflect on things. He wanted to, he was tempted. There was so much going on in his head, but he needed that time. He needed that moment of reflection. It's the same when we say about deep waters. It's basically that sense, that meaning, that moment in our lives that we need to just stop a little bit and try and figure out things. We During these times we search for true values, without the incentives of certain illusions from our earthly experience. So if you feel that you are alone, that you are abandoned, remember that beyond the grave, there are companions who will assist you and wait for you lovingly. I know this time is hard, and I know this time can make you think that you are alone, that you suffer a lot during this time. I had an experience like that, and you think you think you are basically, you have this feeling that you're alone, right? So don't forget that you're not alone. You're never alone. The Father never leaves his children neglected. Therefore, if you find yourself at present without any ties, without true friends, in this transitory landscape, it is because Jesus Christ has sent you into the deep waters of the experience in order to test your conquests in supreme lessons. So it's kind of, you just deconstruct some things, but you're going to build other things on top of that, and those are better things. So don't underestimate this moment, and don't forget that Jesus is with you always, and God is with you always. So pause and think. And this is very brief. I just want to touch in one point here. Jesus Christ initiated his divine mission among farmers and laborers. He lived among doctors of law and rebellious sinners. He walked among the sick and the afflicted. He ate stale bread with the humble fishermen and fulfilled his saintly task amidst two thieves. What more can you ask for, right? So if you long for an ease or an easy life and distinguished position in the world, remind yourself of the master. Pause and think. So you could be feeling that you don't have everything that you wanted to have, but don't forget that maybe those things don't mean that much. So just reflect on material things in life, and in terms of position as well. So sometimes we want to be like famous, or we want to be important, we want to be I don't know, a boss, a manager, a director, the CEO of the company, things like that. But just don't forget the lessons that we learned from Jesus. The next one that we are going to talk about, and we are near the end, is anxieties. I gave a talk about anxiety a few months ago. So here is just very quickly, because it has to do with the topic today. So anxieties, they trigger a lot of bad things on us, and if human beings could reflect more sensibly, they would be able to recognize the actual context of service that the moments of each day can offer, right? So they would try to be more vigilant and give proper value to their own assets. So trust more on what you have, trust more on yourselves, and anxiety will try to kind of take you out of that. But let's not forget that our concerns should be, well, of course, it's not like you shouldn't care about things, but you should rest those concerns in God and believe that it will be addressed. So place your concerns and disquieting fears in the hopes you have in the celestial Father, because divine love desires the well-being of all of us. It is just to ardently desire the victory of light, to preserve in search of peace, to discipline ourselves for our union with the superior plans, to insist in synchronizing with the more evolved spheres. So prayer helps a lot. And again, don't forget that God is at the help. And talking about people of faith, it has to do with what I was just talking about in terms of anxiety. We need to trust God, right? So it's interesting to note that among all of the disciples of Jesus, regards most highly the ones who not only listen to his teachings, but also puts them into practice. From this, it can be concluded that the individuals of faith are not necessarily those who are prodigious in words and enthusiasm, but rather those who also show and project attentiveness and goodwill towards the teachings of Jesus. by examining their spiritual context in order to apply them in their daily tasks. So in all tasks, the use of the spoken word is sacred and essential. However, no student must ever forget the sublime value of silence and the propitious moments in the superior work of perfecting our inner selves, so that reflections may be heard within our soul, thus guiding our destiny. So basically, just trust in God and have faith, and try to apply things. I believe myself that faith is something that we construct. It's not something that just, like, for some people they have this strong belief in things. It could be anything, and a lot of people in God. But for me, like, if you don't have it, it's fine. You can construct it, through prayer, through reading, through learning more about Spiritism. You can construct this faith, because we talk about in Spiritism the rational faith, right? So it helps. It helps a lot. Um, Next one, intercession. And in here, again, it kind of builds up, from one chapter to the other. So the intercessory prayer continues to provide benefits of inalterable value to us. A prayer soliciting an intercession is surely one of the most beautiful fraternal acts, and it can trigger the emission of the beneficial and illuminating forces. Such forces, when originating from a sincere spirit, to go straight to the proposed objective as a blessing of comfort and energy. Someone sent us on our WhatsApp group an image of, like, two, let's say, bad souls. That doesn't exist, but it was a chart, just a joke. And so those bad souls were like, let's go there and let's torment these people. And they were just pointing to a house. Um, and so the other bad souls said, well, we cannot do it anymore. And they were like, why not? And they said, because they are doing the gospel at home now. And you could see in the chart, when you look at the house had this light going on, through the windows, and just illuminating everything. So you may think that it's, when we pray, nothing's going to happen, but the intercession will come in too many ways, sometimes even from inside of you and your heart, and you're going to transmit this energy and illuminate all the room, right? And through this process, you can also have intuition, and through this intuition, you can make things different. So just trust in the process, and pray and pray. And I think that the last one here, yes. So the last one in here is the march, and when we say the march here, there you go. So when we refer to march here, we mean the way from here to perfection. So our path and how we are going to march from here to perfection, right? Or from here to the sky, if we can say like that. So it is always important to move ahead steadily in search of spiritual edification. It is indispensable to march overcoming obstacles and shadows, transforming the pain and anguish into ascending steps, right? So Jesus referred to the direction of the march to Jerusalem, where the final glorification thought, martyrdom awaited him. but we can apply these teachings to our personal insentient experiences on the road to Jerusalem, to the Jerusalem of our, let's say, our own redeeming testimonials. So many believe that to move forward is to take a stand of evidence in the world, acquiring transitory positions or greatness, and bringing the wealthiest people into their personal circle. However, it is not so. In this regard, these so-called like regular people perhaps have greater possibility in their favor. So the dominant personality in ephemeral situations has the road filled with dangers, with complex responsibilities and atrocious threats. The sensations of augment the feeling of downfall. So it's imperative to walk constantly, but this journey compels the eternal spirit toward divine wisdom, and not to a way of becoming someone that is important, as I said before, or even famous or anything like that. So it's important to work, to know, to illuminate ourselves and to attend to Jesus Christ daily. In order to fixate this lesson within us, we have been born on earth, sharing its struggles, making use of the body. And on earth, we shall be reborn once again, right? So this march is not to success in the terms that like you're gonna be someone really important in this life, but rather to the divine wisdom, in the sense that no matter who you are here, or what title you have, you know, you yourself, and what you need to pursue is perfection and improvement. And that's why we were born on earth so many times, right? So that is the right march to go. Okay, so this is it. That is all from me today. As I said, my bibliography are basically those two books, Our Daily Bread and Encontro Marcado. That would be arranged meeting or something like this. So this is our activities. We have our public meetings in the form of lives for now, every Sunday from 11:15 a.m. to around 12:15, and I'm almost there. We have our talk shows in the form of lives for now as well, every Tuesday and Thursdays at 7:15 p.m. We have our study groups every Wednesday from 8 to 9. If you want to participate in the study groups, let us know. Send us an email, spiritismireland@gmail.com, or send us a message on Facebook. Okay, so let me just check before we finish if there's any comment or anything like that, or any question. I just wanted to say thanks to all of you that is every Sunday here with us. And Vanderlei saying, morning everybody, we miss you, Sa. Thank you so much. Bandoka, I miss you too. I miss you guys so much. I can't wait for us to have our talks in person again. Let me just see. There is no thank you for today, Samanta. Thank you guys. Thank you very much again for being here every Sunday with us. So I think that's it. There's no questions. So there are no questions. So let's finish with our final prayer. Please close your eyes if you wish. Take a deep breath. Dear God, dear Jesus, thank you so much again for this morning. Thank you for your teachings. Thank you for everything that you wanted us to learn today. Thank you for this beautiful day. Thank you for being our anchor Thank you for being at the helm. Thank you for everything, for the opportunity to exist. Thank you so much, dear God. So be it. So, so thank you so much, everyone. That was it from me today. I just wanted to very briefly say that if you are struggling with anything, as we say every time, just you can go to the website yourmentalhealth.ie. There's also the Samaritans, which the telephone is 116123. And also there's this text message that you can use, which is 50808, right? So if you need help, please don't be afraid of reaching out. So thank you so much again. Have a nice Sunday. I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.